and welcome to What a Ghoul Wants. My name is Anna, I am your ghoul, and what I want is to talk about the movies that I watched in September. Now, as some of you who follow my channel might know, I did a movie wrap-up for June, but I just didn't watch enough movies in July and August to justify doing a whole what I watched in the month of for those months. I only recorded, I think, 5 movies for each of those months. So I think I was just bopping around a lot. I was out of town and I just didn't manage to watch that many movies. So I didn't do a wrap up for those months. And I really got back on my game in September. And I think I was just really excited about the weather getting cooler, it feeling more like fall, and just really wanting to watch more horror movies. Plus, I saw my first movie in theaters since 2019. I don't even actually remember what movie I watched in the theaters last, and because of the pandemic, I just wasn't going to go to the theater. I wanted to be safe, and of course, they just started opening up semi-recently with major releases coming to theaters, so the first movie that I watched in September was Nia DaCosta's Candyman. Now, I know that movie has been really divisive, and it's still new, and so I'm not going to go too deep into plot or anything like that. I will say that I thought that it was very well directed. I was super impressed by Nia DaCosta's direction and the cinematography, and the score was really great too. I like the original Candyman well enough. It's by no means my favorite movie, so I didn't have these super high expectations that some people who are a really big fan of the franchise would have. So that being said, I went in with some expectations, for it being a continuation of an existing franchise and a popular one at that. So I had expected it to be good and well made. What I was not expecting was the twist that Nia DaCosta, Jordan Peele, and there's a third writer, Win Rosenfeld. So the direction they took with the story, I really thought was interesting and a cool concept. And I thought that most of the acting was well done. There were some things that kind of fell flat for me. The story was just a bit convoluted, and there were certain things about it that didn't get resolved or came in at weird points. So the way the story was structured was a little bit weird to me. The third act kind of comes out of nowhere and ends pretty abruptly. So that seemed like kind of a strange choice. Overall, I did enjoy it, and it was a really good movie for my first movie I've seen in the theaters in almost 2 years. So I'm definitely not mad that I spent money to see it. And I know that some people really, really didn't like it, and I know some people loved it. So it's been pretty divisive, but I would say if you're interested in the Candyman franchise at all, go ahead and see it and form your own opinion about it. I really would love to see what Nia DaCosta does in the future because I really, really enjoyed her direction. So I gave Candyman 3.5 stars for all those reasons that I mentioned. Okay, the next movie I watched was Prophecy from 1979. This is the film starring Talia Shire as one of our main protagonists. And it is about this paper production plant that is polluting the water and river. I believe it's set in Maine, I don't remember. But they're polluting this river, and the Native Americans that live there are getting sick, and things are happening to them because of the pollution of the river. And so Talia Shire and her husband go there to kind of investigate what's going on. At its core, it has a really good message about protecting our environment and respecting our environment. And the tone of it was very serious, and I was really invested in the story. The thing that took away from it for me was the, if you've seen this movie, you know, the effects of our main antagonist, I guess you could say. So we see that the river pollution is affecting the people that live there as well as wildlife. So they talk about fish being mutated and all these things. And we come to find that there is a giant mutant bear on the loose, and it is attacking the people that live in this area. So most of the film is spent in the second half avoiding this bear, finding its little mutant bear cubs. And I just wish that the effects were done better so that I wasn't as amused by it, because they do look kind of goofy by today's standards. Even though they're practically done, sometimes you can just tell it's a guy in a bear suit, and just the design of it is a little bit goofy. So if you go in with that in mind, and you kind of have the ability to overlook that, I would say the message is pretty good. The acting is pretty good, but there are a few other little nitpicky things I had about it. So I only gave it 2.5 stars. I just felt like it was kind of right in the middle, just kind of average. My Letterboxd review was just 3 words: that bear design, if that tells you anything. Next up, I watched one of my all-time favorite bad movies, and that is the 2006 Wicker Man remake, starring Nicolas Cage. If you've seen this movie, you know how bad it is and how it just absolutely did not live up to the original in any capacity, in any way, shape, or form. It just took all of the good concepts of the original and bastardized them. It turned into a very misogynistic seeming movie where Nick Cage is just running around and punching all of the women that live on this island. So all of that, you just have to know it's not good, but it is very, very entertaining. Ellen Burstyn actually plays our cult leader, and in my Letterboxd review, I just said, I heard that Ellen Burstyn needed spinal surgery after attempting to carry this movie on her back. She is trying really hard to make this a serious movie, and when she's sitting across from Nick Cage and acting against his overacting, there's only so much you can really do. So if you watch this movie, if you haven't seen it, do not take it seriously. Just be able to laugh at the parts that were they intended to be funny? Probably not. But yeah, it's one of those movies that I will rewatch time and again if I need to laugh. And you guys know, if you've seen it, the bees, not the bees!
No, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Open my eyes! Ah!
Oh man, yeah, it's just amazing how the original is so good and the remake is so bad. But so all that being said, I gave it 1.5 stars and a heart because I do love it and I will continue to rewatch it. All right, coming up next is Valentine from 2001. And this has been a movie that has been on my watch list for a really, really long time because I absolutely love Valentine's Day themed slashers. I think they're really fun. And just the imagery, you can play with so many things like the Valentine's Day cards and Cupid and all of that. So I don't know why I put off watching this for so long, but I'm very glad that I did because it was a super fun watch. You've got some cheesy dialogue, a really silly setup, and a pretty standard run-of-the-mill slasher format. But you add in the stylization of it being Valentine's Day and these really cool and intricately designed Valentine's Day cards that the killer is leaving for his victims to find. And it has these not so cryptic messages or rhymes.
Journey of love is an arduous trek. My love grows for you as you bleed from your neck.
So I think that is super fun. That being said, it's by no means an exceptional movie. It's just a cheesy early 2000s holiday-themed slasher that is really good if you kind of just want to throw it on, maybe watch with some friends, have a fun movie night, and I think it'll probably stay in my rotation of Valentine's Day horror movies to watch every year. And I gave it 2 stars because it is, a pretty basic slasher, but I did give it a heart for the stylistic elements, and The Cupid mask was really cool. The design of the killer was kind of giallo-esque with his black jacket, and some of the kills were pretty creative too. So if you've seen it, you know the hot tub scene is pretty cool. Poor Denise Richards, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. Next is a movie that I had never even heard of until I was just flipping through Tubi, I think it was, and I saw that they have The Curse of Humpty Dumpty. Now, I did not go in with any expectations. If anything, I was like, this is going to be really, really bad. And yeah, it was low budget. It was a pretty basic horror movie. You've got basically a possessed doll, Humpty Dumpty, and it's kind of trying to actually be this metaphor for dementia, which I thought was very interesting and ambitious. And I really appreciated that concept. And I think that the people that made this movie were really trying to do something different. I just think that they were kind of limited by budget, and effects were a little goofy at times. There is some really, really, really bad CGI mixed in, with some pretty good practical effects. The design of the doll is it's okay. It's really, really creepy right off the bat. And we're supposed to believe that the main character, who is the one suffering from dementia, had this doll in her home at one point. Her husband got it for her, and we're supposed to believe that she just willingly kept this thing in her house and liked having it there. I thought that was pretty unbelievable. But for the most part, the acting was pretty good by the main cast. Some of the side characters, their acting was super bad.
You're crazy. Aren't we all?
Combined with some not great dialogue. So, for all of these reasons, I gave it 1.5 stars, and I just said, he had a great fall, all right. But I do appreciate what they were trying to do with it, and any kind of horror movie that takes like an old folk tale and tries to make it into a horror tale, I do really respect and appreciate that. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend watching it unless you have some great curiosity about it, but yeah, it's probably a one-time watch for me, but I'm not mad that I watched it. Next up is another movie from 2021 that has been on everybody's lips. Every person who loves horror is talking about this movie, and that is James Wan's Malignant. Now, I didn't see this in theaters. I just watched it on HBO Max, and I think that it was fine, the experience of watching it on TV as opposed to in the theaters. I think it would have been even better in the theaters, of course, seeing it on a big screen, but I'm definitely not mad that I saw it at home. I was still as enthralled by the story as I would have been in theaters. I really, really enjoyed Malignant. It is such a unique horror movie, and in this day and age where a lot of things are remakes and reboots and kind of rehashes of old properties, I am really appreciative of James Wan for coming up with an idea that was so new and so unique. And I have not been this intrigued by a movie in a really long time. It held my attention the whole time, and I was just like, where is it going next? Oh my gosh, so many twists and turns. And it's a really good combination of goofy and I wouldn't call it scary, but it does have some pretty creepy moments. Like the design of our villain Gabriel, I think, is very effective. Of course, I'm not going to spoil anything for you because it is really new still, but I would definitely recommend watching it. I give it 4 stars and a heart because I enjoyed it so much. And I actually rewatched it. So I did see this movie twice in September. I watched it with my husband because he hadn't seen it, and I just wanted to see his reaction and catch all of those things that I missed the first time. And it did not disappoint the second time around. This is a movie that I think I will continue to go back to as a really, really fun rewatch. Next up is the 13 Ghosts remake from 2001. Now, this is a rewatch for me. I have seen it before. Although, I don't know if I'd ever really watched it from the beginning. I think it was one of those movies that would kind of just be on TV, and I would come on in the middle or towards the end, so I don't know that I had ever seen the beginning. This is another one that kind of is up in the cheese factor, and it's one that I know a lot of people really, really love. I just never really got that into it. I think the concept is cool, and I really appreciate a lot of the practical effects. Of course, for an early 2000s movie, you have to have the mix of practical and CGI, so some of the CGI is pretty bad. But the acting in it, I think, is good. Our lead, Tony Shalhoub, does a good job, and anything with Matthew Lillard in, I will watch at least once. And he did great. He's got such an interesting style of acting where he's pretty over the top, but it works for the material. I think the story is all right. I've never seen the original, so I can't compare it to that, but it does have that classic Dark Castle feel. That's the production company that did a lot of these early 2000s remakes of older movies, so it's very stylized in that way. But I gave it 3 stars. It's not one that I watch that frequently, and I don't know why. I don't love it, but I do think it's a pretty good movie. It's a fun movie, so 3 stars for 13 Ghosts. Next up is... I put this one off for a long time because I knew that people hated it, and I knew it was going to be bad, but I was like, I have to see it at least once and form my own opinion about it, and that is the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. And I did hate it as much as I had heard people talking about how much they just despise pretty much everything about it. And I'm in that camp as well. I think that the acting was not great. Jackie Earle Haley did a good job as Freddy for what he was given. Of course, the look of him was not good with the CGI. Everything CGI was just so bad. It took everything from the original that was good and kind of just made it into a parody of itself. The fact that there were cues for when people were going into dreams, I was like, one of the best parts about the original was that sometimes you couldn't tell if they were dreaming or not. And they just completely did away with that for the most part in the remake. The pacing was bad. The dialogue wasn't great. Just everything about it. I don't think I will ever watch it again. I will try to avoid it at all costs, I think. For people who try to defend it, I don't know. I don't even know, like, what you can say that's good about it besides Jackie Earle Haley's performance. I think that it is the only redeeming quality, personally. Celise from Sweet and Spooky on YouTube did a top 10 worst horror movies, and this movie made it onto her list, and she had some great reasons for why. I think everything she said was spot on. Yeah, I tend to really give movies the benefit of the doubt for the most part, but this one, from beginning to end, I hated it. And for that reason, I gave it half a star. All right. Next is the original Omen from 1976, starring Gregory Peck. So a little caveat about this movie. I had seen most of the kills from this just from watching different compilations or different shows about like scary movie moments and things like that. So basically all of the kills from this movie were spoiled for me. And I think that kind of affected my viewing of it because it took out the surprise factor for me. Despite that, though, I did like the movie. As I've talked about on here before, I was raised Catholic, so Catholic-themed horror movies are really interesting to me. It was a bit slow in parts, but a lot of 70s movies are that way. Just the pacing was a little bit different. Also, anytime your movie really heavily relies on a child actor, I think it can be hit or miss. But the way that they did it was that Damien did not talk that much, so I thought that was a good choice to keep it kind of mysterious. And also, you know, if his acting was maybe questionable in parts, you didn't really see that. It was all mostly physicality and things like that. So I did like that choice as well. But yeah, it had creative kills, so I like that a lot. It probably is not going to make it on my list of favorite Catholic-themed horror movies, but I did give it 3.5 stars because I think that it's pretty good, and it is considered a classic in the horror community, so if you haven't seen it, I would suggest watching it for sure. I've not seen the remake, but I would give that a shot as well, just to see what they do differently and how they modernize it from 1976 to, I think it was maybe 2006 or somewhere around there, so a pretty big gap between the original and the remake. Next is Wishmaster 2, Evil Never Dies. So I saw the original a while ago, and I thought it was alright. Definitely got some creative kills. And the fact that it had Tony Todd, Kane Hodder, and Robert Englund, I thought it was really cool. None of them were in Wishmaster 2. We did get a reprise of Andrew Divoff. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but as the Djinn, and I think he does a good job. He really just gets this role, and he brings a certain humor to it. And everything about the second movie is kind of just a play off the first one. A lot of the same things happen. You just get the Djinn running around and baiting people into wishing for things and then twisting their wish around to make them meet their demise. So we're just doing that again in this film. And I gave it 2 stars. It's pretty low budget. It does have some pretty good practical effects. And again, we also have some really bad CGI. The acting from our lead actress is kind of questionable at times. Yeah, it's just a reiteration of the ideas of the first one, where our lead is trying to figure out how to get rid of the Djinn, and the Djinn is just kind of running amok until he is put back in his little crystal thing. So yeah, I gave it 2 stars because, you know, it's alright. There is the casino scene. If you've seen this, you know the casino scene is pretty wild. So if you watch it for anything, I would say watch it for that. Next is Freaky from 2020. I had heard a lot of really good things about this movie. I know a lot of people really love it. And it's by the same people that made Happy Death Day. And I did enjoy that movie. Although I haven't seen Happy Death Day to You yet. But this one was another pretty fun horror comedy that I did enjoy it. I think that I had my expectations a little high because from what I had heard, people were really raving about it, and I just don't think I liked it quite as much as I thought I was going to, but I think that Vince Vaughn did an amazing job acting as a girl in a grown man's body when he swaps places with our lead, Catherine Newton, and I thought she did a really good job playing a grown male serial killer, taking on his personality and his mannerisms, so that I think was done really, really well. Yeah, I thought it was really fun. I would probably watch it again. I love the idea of like a Freaky Friday type movie and body swaps, stuff like that I find pretty interesting. So overall, I did like it a lot and I gave it 3.5 stars and a heart. Next, we've got another one of my favorite bad movies to watch, and that is Van Helsing, starring Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale. This movie, it has so many elements going on. It is just trying to do way too much, even in a movie that's over 2 hours. It is trying to pack so much stuff into one movie, and I love it for that because it is so over the top and crazy. I really admire the creators trying to do a modernized, kind of like a Universal Monsters Avengers type movie. We've got Frankenstein, Dracula, Jekyll and Hyde, Van Helsing, just a lot of things going on all in one movie. They really jam-pack it with information, and it oscillates between really long, drawn-out fight scenes with long periods of expository dialogue that is so convoluted that nobody can keep track of what's going on, but you just kind of let the movie happen to you. The CGI is really bad in a lot of places. Yeah, it's a wild movie, but it is one that I always go back to because it's so much fun to pick it apart and analyze it, or try to analyze it, I guess. Laugh at the funny accents people are doing, and the bad effects that are happening. Just the design of some of the characters, I'm like, Oh, who greenlit this? It's so bad, but it's so good at the same time. So I gave Van Helsing 2 stars and a heart because it's one of my favorite bad movies of all time. Next, we are talking about the subject of my shirt, and that is Hocus Pocus. I watch this movie every year, and usually I try to hold out until October to watch it, but I was weak this year, and as soon as we got cooler weather, it's like, I just want to put on Hocus Pocus and chill and relax. I absolutely love this movie. I gave it 5 stars and a heart because it is one of my favorite fall-time movies, and it really holds up. The performances from all of the actors is great. Of course, Bette Midler kills it. Kathy Najimy kills it. Sarah Jessica Parker kills it. Everyone is just doing a great job and having so much fun. It has such great fall vibes, and I will continue to watch it every year around Halloween time. It is one of the things that I look forward to about fall. Next up is Hostel Part 2. Now, I've seen the first one, and I thought it was alright. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't really my jam. A lot of the things that happen in that movie are pretty xenophobic, and there's a lot of homophobia. Just all around not great things happening, obviously, besides the torture. So I wasn't really sure what to expect with Part 2, since Eli Roth directed both, and from what I heard, he heard these criticisms about the first one, and he tried to fix a lot of those problematic areas. So instead of focusing on a group of guys, we focus on a group of women. So just automatically, I'm going to maybe connect with that story more because it has female protagonists. And I have to say, I liked it a lot better than the first movie. I think that it was really cool that we saw more of the secret society that orchestrates the kidnapping and torturing of these people, and the fact that we saw Americans participating in this. It's not just people in foreign countries doing this to Americans, it's all over the world, and the participants are of different races, cultures, creeds, genders, all of that. So that being said, I did give it 3.5 stars and a heart. And my review was, men will literally pay thousands of dollars to fly to a foreign country and kill someone who resembles their wife instead of going to therapy. I was just pretty proud of that review. So yeah, I say if you liked the first one, or if you were not a huge fan of the first one because of some of the narrative elements, that I would definitely suggest watching Part 2, because I definitely enjoyed it more than Part 1. And the last movie that I watched in September was Pyewacket. I don't know much about this movie. I want to say it's a Canadian movie. A teenager is mad at her mother for maybe not being the best parent, and she takes it out by trying to use some black magic to kill her, and she summons the demon, or I don't know if it's a demon or a witch or what, but Pyewacket. And what ensues is we get some cool not knowing if things are happening, what is real, what's not. I really liked the concept a lot, and I think that they did pretty well with it overall. It was a little bit on the shorter side. I think it's like 1 hour and 20 minutes. Oh no, it says here it's 90 minutes, so I don't know. It just kind of felt like a little bit bare, that they could have fleshed it out a little bit more, and the ending was a bit abrupt as well. I did like the characters, and I thought the acting was pretty good, and what we do see of the Pyewacket is pretty darn creepy and done pretty well, so I did enjoy that, but I gave it 2.5 stars because it didn't really grab my attention that much. Maybe I need to give it another try. I am glad that I finally watched it because it's been on my list for a while. So yeah, that is everything that I watched in September. I think that was 14 movies, so I did pretty good this time as opposed to the 5 movies in both August and July. So October is going to be kind of hard for me to watch movies because I am getting married in October. Well, I should say I'm having a wedding. I'm already officially married. We got married during COVID, and we just did a legal ceremony with the Justice of the Peace. So this is our bigger family celebration happening on Halloween. I'm so excited. It's at this old theater. It's going to be really, really cool. So I'm going to be really busy with that, and I won't have as much time to watch horror movies, unfortunately. But I am glad that I got to watch a decent amount in September. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Feel free to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of my content. Like this video and hit the notification bell if you want to know when I upload videos. Just thanks again for hanging out, and we'll talk horror next time.